Welcome to Talkin Tires, the podcast that delves deep into the world of tires. Join us as we explore everything from the science behind the manufacturing to the latest innovations in tire recycling. Our aim is to provide you with a comprehensive understanding of tires, including how they work, how to maintain them, and how to dispose of them responsibly. Whether you're a seasoned mechanic, curious car enthusiast, or an avid recycler, Talkin Tires is the perfect podcast for anyone who wants to learn about the essential component of the modern vehicle and heavy equipment. So buckle up and join us for an informative and engaging journey into the world of tires. All right, welcome everybody to the first episode of Talking Tires. I'm here with Tom Parker from All American Tire Recyclers, and they are a sponsor company for Talking Tires, and we're excited to have them as our first guest. And Tom, welcome. I appreciate you being here. I know it takes time out of your day, and if I had to pay your hourly wage, I probably would not want to do that. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us about All American Tires.
Hey Craig, happy to be on your first podcast. It's awesome. We're privileged to be here. We didn't get snow last night, and I can't see behind me, but there's no snow out there. It's fun and sun here. We're out collecting tires and starting the beginning of summer. So it's
right. The reason you're saying no snow is because I told you we woke up to snow today, April 13th.
I
woke up to snow and 30 degrees. I couldn't believe it myself, just so you know. It's not normal.
You guys even have a groundhog?
So we're in Idaho, right? And you're in Texas. I guess I should say that. So in Idaho, yeah, we have. Did you ask we have groundhogs?
Yeah, there's no groundhogs there because it's winter all year, right?
Right. Well, we call them whistle pigs. All right, man. Sorry to interrupt you. But yeah, no snow in Texas. That's good.
No snow. So a little bit about us. We've been doing this for about 8 years. My wife and I started this company, obviously 8 years ago, but it was kind of one of those things where I was doing medical sales and she was a nurse, and I was laid off and out looking for a job, and it was getting towards the 6-month, 8-month unemployment thing. I was trying to pound out and get back into medical sales, but at that time, it just, we had just come out of the mortgage bust, and it just was still a hard time to kind of get, into that industry. And I was out visiting one of my buddy's shops and trying to help him with his business at the time, and ended up kind of falling into this. So I never thought we'd be here where we're at today, at this stage of the game, and just making such an impact that we are right now.
Can you give us a quick synopsis of what it is All American Tire does in a day? So you pick up tires, right?
Yeah, so we're doing quite a few loads of tires. I mean, we're doing 18,000 tires a day, 7 days a week, or more. But we do everything from semi tires to car tires to ag tires. We make a product called TDF, which stands for tire derived fuel. And that's used in like cement kilns, and I think paper plants also use them. For us, it's a cement plant that burns it as fuel. And then we just recently had our grand opening about a month ago, and we started doing chrome rubber. So people are not familiar with the tire industry. Chrome rubber is more or less, in our business, it's like going to the Super Bowl. It's very difficult to make in terms of the size. And there's a lot of customers out there that are getting more and more picky these days and are wanting better chrome and different size chrome, really small chrome. Majority of that product will go into either asphalt or football fields. We've all seen NFL football, college football, and you see their feet when they do a close-up and you see the rubber come out of the ground. That's pretty much what we make. So
a little black rooster tail.
Yes, sir. So, and that's where we're at right now. We've got a lot of projects in the works, but 8 years ago, I thought this was going to be like a summer job until I could find some steady employment. So here we are, cranking it out today. We're one of the largest plants volume-wise in North Texas. So it's been a fun.
That's fantastic. So you talked about getting started, and it's kind of a ticking clock, if you will, to go out and earn a living, and it turned out to be something quite a bit more than you expected. And I know your story a little bit about actually getting out on the streets and driving and picking up tires. Can you talk about that a little bit when you got started?
Yeah, and I want to just touch on it. I'm going to kind of ramble through it quickly just because I don't want to bore the people out there listening. But I think it's important to know that, my wife and I started this with $3,500. And, and, the American dream is alive and real. You got to put the hard work in. But, I get the chills.
I did too, at the exact same time, I think.
So, we started this with $3,500, and I'll tell you just a little bit around the business model when we started. But basically, the tire shop, I wasn't a tire shop, a mechanic shop. He had tires everywhere. He did a little bit of tire work here and there, but I pulled the tires out to get his shop cleaned up so he could work on his business. And I've always been a salesman. I'm driving to get them disposed of about 30 miles away, and I only had like 30 tires in the truck, and it would maybe hold 100. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm already going over there. Let me stop at a couple tire shops. And my first tire shop, I walked in there and I said, hey, you got any old tires you want disposed of? And he asked me how much to, throw them away, and told him $1. The guy got extremely excited. So right away, I'm thinking, oh man,
I'm underpriced.
I must be way too low.
Right.
And remind you, I don't know anything about anything in terms of tires. So I pick up a few tires there, and the story goes, I stopped about 4 places. By the time I got to the place where you could dump those tires, my price was at $1.50 already. So I got excited, so I'm driving back, and all this stuff is running through my head. Every place I went to, they looked like they'd never seen anybody come by and ask for tires. So right away, I knew there was an opportunity. I went home, and immediately I was so excited. I told my wife, I said, you're not going to believe this. And
there's tires everywhere.
Yeah, they're throwing them at me, literally.
Yeah.
I just put a pencil to the paper, and I started, trying to work the numbers and come up with some type of rough business plan. And that's where it started. As I looked into it a little more, I figured out I needed a little bit bigger truck, and basically where we're at now, we've learned through the hard knock life. It has been a journey. I don't know what it's like in the scrap business or other businesses out there. This is our very first business. And but nobody wants to help you. Nobody goes out of their way to tell you the secrets or tell you that you need the biggest truck possible or you won't make any money if you pick up 100 tires at a time. But that's where it started. And
I'm going to interrupt you right there because I want to give you kudos because Brett and I reached out to you and your company, and you were more than helpful to give us lots of information that, even just in something as simple as how I bonus our route drivers, and it's like, well, if you do piece count, you kind of encourage them to fudge the numbers a little bit, which affects your customer and you. And then, you got to get weights on those trucks so that it's full of rubber. I'll tell you what, how long it might have taken me to figure that out and how many customers might have been burned when, the guy that I hired, as much as I trust, but things happen, guys getting desperate and they do crazy things. And if you set up your structures to that, there could be some fudging going on, it's going to happen eventually. So that, just having that little snippet has probably saved me so much time. And
having someone to reach out to, kind of like your mom or dad or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, when we're kids, we don't listen to them because we know everything. But in business, if you can, find someone that can mentor you, and ironically, Brett will hopefully he's not listening to this, but he'll probably.
Oh, he will. Brett Eckhart from United Metals Recycling.
Oh yeah. And actually, I saw him on LinkedIn, and he had mentioned something about tires, and I actually called him first, and I said, "Hey, be careful. It's like this business can be like dealing with the mob. You got to be careful. There's lots of shady people." But that being said, it's nice. you guys have been in business for a long time, United Metals. So I know this is a spin off of another company that he's always looking to grow and be the best at what he does. So at that particular time, I wanted to help him, and it's kind of worked the opposite. I haven't really had a mentor, so it's been great to like reach out to him and talk to him and have him give me some advice on business stuff and just help me along the path. So uh, I'm very blessed to be able to help you guys and return the favor and do that. So after we ended up, I did that. We ended up, my wife and I, getting a loan is incredibly hard. So we pulled money out of our 401k, made up some crazy name. My brother has a sign business called All American Signs.
That's
So
where the balls come in, right?
What's that?
The loan on your 401k, that's where the balls come in.
Yeah, so it was 3,500, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But
oh, okay, I'm sorry.
We have 3 kids, and it was tight. I was unemployed, so it's not like we had a lot of money laying around. And so we took that 3,500 and we got a box truck and we started, and it was just me and then my wife was working. She works as a nurse, and she was working weekends. So she would work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, she would get in the box truck with me, and we would go pick up tires.
So great.
And,
Such a great story.
And so we did that for a while. And I'm just going to touch on a couple highlights and some, I guess we'll call them epiphanies, where the light bulb went off. And so we're picking up. And we'll fast forward to where I got enough business by when she wasn't working with me on Friday, I would go do sales calls. So it didn't take long, maybe 4 months. And we had 2 full-time employees in the box truck. So now I'm running a business. And I just happened to be sitting at a where I dump the tires at a dump station. And I saw a semi truck come through. So my wheels start turning, the light bulb goes off, and I said, "Hey, what's that guy doing here?" "Oh, well, big customers, we just have a semi driver. We drop off a big trailer and we go pick it up." So like I told you earlier, I run home, "Hey, babe, check this out. We don't even have to load the tires. Think of that." And
they'll do it themselves.
Is the same as 2 box trucks. So what do you think we did next? We went and got our CDL. And I'll give my wife credit. She got her CDL license first. And we borrowed money. I gave up a little percentage of my company at this time to a close friend. And we were able to get some money for our first semi truck. And we were able to buy 2 trailers. And every trailer we swapped, we took that money, put them together. And every time we had enough money from trailer swaps, we would buy another trailer. We have over 120 trailers now.
Awesome.
But that's kind of how we've grown this business in such a short amount of time. We've lived on what we need to pay the bills and live pretty tight. I would say comfortably. We're not starving. Up until the last 3 years, we've been able to buy like our first new car. I mean, we put in a good 5 or 6 years, and I'm talking, I personally worked between 70 and 80 hours a week. It was a lot of work, and we would have probably gotten out of it had we not taken a loan on the box truck. I'm not a risk taker. I did want to find a job. This was just, I got to feed my family, get me to the next step. And then it continued to grow and grow. And it came to a point where my wife is like, "I'm sick of nursing. I'm getting tired of, dealing with all the politics and just the headache." And at that time, we were actually parking my box truck in front of my house. The neighbors would call the police, and so we actually started parking our trucks, our semi truck and our box truck behind the Lowe's, right down the street. And so it took about 1.5 years before the police department caught on and started ticketing us. But it was free parking for 1.5 years.
Yeah, you're way out of statute of limitations, buddy. You're good.
Exactly. So fast forward. So we're just a glorified transporter. So there's different steps in the tire recycling business, right? And this is, if you're new to this, that's probably all. I'll kind of go over a couple things. So we're a transporter. We just pick up tires. That's it. We make the money. We pay the disposal fee, and whatever the difference is, what we charge our customer, that's what we make. And now we're doing semi loads. So we're doing bigger loads, bigger customers. My wife's name is Jody. Jody and I got our CDL. We have box truck drivers, and Jody and I are running around doing swaps. In the summertime, we got a truck with a cab. So we would load the kids up in the back and
Oh, sleeper cab.
yep, we'd hit the road
Fantastic.
and go do these runs. We'd do about 2 a day, and that's kind of where we went up until another turning point happened where the big guy, the big boys in town. There's only one major player. They came in, and those places where I would take my tires for disposal, they bought them out. Now there's one game in town, and so I had one. I had one option really. Some people would say two. I guess option number two would be to just throw in the towel. They put my price so high that it was more than what I was charging my customers. So there was no more middle ground there.
They're squeezing you out. They're squeezing you out.
So I took option one, which was the only option for me and my family, and that was to somehow start shredding tires. Now I would have never wanted to do that because I didn't know. Picking up tires is easy. Now I got to shred them and maintain a machine and get power. This is all a whole nother business.
Right.
So I found a $10,000 aluminum can crusher, and I found that you could lease one of those in-dump trailers. The same thing you guys use in the scrap business. I say you guys, Brett uses in the steel business. And basically, I think you've seen the pictures, but we elevated this. I learned how to weld. We elevated this aluminum can. We did one tire at a time. At that time, we were doing 2,000 tires a day, Monday through Friday, and that's where we started in the actual shredding business. So as soon as we did that, we cut out the middlemen. Now we're just sending stuff to the landfill. Now we're making more money.
So you reduce the size, right, from a whole tire, and you shred it yourself. So now you don't need those guys to take your whole tires because it's legal to dispose of tires if they're shredded. Is that?
Hey, and guess what? Now there's the big boy in town, the nationwide guy, and little old Tom Parker, All American Tire. That's it, right? And so
and the guys I call T-shirt and a pickup. You have those that flare up, I'm sure, right? The guys that just want to go and pick them up. Sometimes they'll do it for free and try to sell used tires out of it.
Yeah, there's two people that are trying to get grade, and grade for us is good tires that they turn around and sell. Those guys are picking it up for free. The guys, T-shirt and a pickup, we love those guys. They were a transporter like us. They actually get a very, very almost at cost. We take their tires, so the mom and pops can still make the money. We're not going anywhere. We welcome them. Hey, you go pick up your tires. You make your money. I won't touch your customers. We started where you're at. I'm not, just because I'm the big dog, I'm not going to run around and poach your customers. If they call me, I'll call you and say, hey, you're not picking up. They need a pickup, but we're not going to go undercut someone and go take business. So we welcome those guys.
You remember what it was like to be that guy.
Can't ever forget where you came from. When
you were the T-shirt and a pickup.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We still are the T-shirt and the pickup. We still have that mentality. We still go out there and do what we can. So that's where we got into the business. And then from there, it went back to the numbers thing. I'm using an aluminum can shredder. It's the size of smaller than my desk that I'm sitting at right now. So,
not designed for shredding tires.
No, the guy that sold it to me goes, we only use it, kind of set it aside. I said, well, it crushes tire? I think so. Now it takes 15 minutes to do a semi tire, but for the most part, it'll do. We didn't really have semi customers, but for the most part, it'll do car tires pretty easily. So that's kind of where we started there. From there, what do you think I did? I went home and ran some numbers. Well, what if we got a shredder that could do, 10 tons an hour instead of one? So, excuse me. Ever since then, we kind of scaled up and just kind of been running the numbers. Okay, now we've cut out the landfill. What's the next step? Where do we go? How can we keep these out of the landfill? Well, hell, it's a $2 million investment. So there's lots of stories. I've worked deals out where major companies, as they, bought me a piece of equipment, we signed an agreement, and I've just really put my time in and worked my way through the system in order to be able to achieve some of the goals, to get to where we are now.
If you could send me the picture of you when you're standing over that, or I don't know if it was you or somebody was standing over that shredder, the tin can shredder, that one that's in your office, and just to
Yes.
the original one, and we could show a compare and contrast to your factory now, which is awesome. I love watching
absolutely. And just so people know, I want you to, if you're driving in your car, to picture this. It's an aluminum can shredder that I've raised 13 feet in the air with scrap metal that I could find laying around, just used metal at the scrapyard that they would sell me for, as cheap as possible. Everything looks incredibly unsafe. It looks crazy. And I don't even know how to weld. I borrowed a welder. And then I found some old post office conveyors that they would roll around and move packages in the trucks and stuff. They were sitting in the back of someone's backyard, one of my customers, for I think 10 years, 15 years. I pulled them out, lubed up the motors, welded two belts together, and set it on top of this thing that's 13 feet in the air to run the tires up into the top of it. So, I mean, it wasn't pretty, but I mean, here we are, right? And
yeah.
It has been probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, but yet the most fulfilling. Mm-hmm. I think we all wonder where we're going to end up in life, and it's frustrating when you're working for someone and you put the effort into a company and maybe you don't get what you want out of it from the company. And this experience has been, obviously it's life-changing. You can see from the pictures from the plants, but I will say there's a certain amount of stress that goes with it. Just like I care about those transporters that bring us tires and making sure they're feeding their families. Now we have 58 employees. So when I go to bed at night, it's a lot to carry, and absolutely. I don't know how Brett does it, owning multiple companies. I guess when he has someone like you that can take the pressure off, when I find that someone, then I'll definitely be pretty blessed at that point. But I still carry a lot of stress with me, and it's very difficult. But it's an amazing thing knowing that for the most part, I control my own destiny. So it's just been an amazing journey, and we've been so blessed.
So now you've got Crumb Rubber Facilities online, and you and I were talking a little bit about, I posed some questions too, just to kind of get the juices flowing. And one of them was like, what did you expect? What didn't you expect? What's coming about with the Crumb that you think, positives or negatives, whatever you're feeling right now.
So in any business from the very beginning, I guess, everybody always has an expectation, and I don't think it seldomly ever comes to fruition. I think we've achieved the goals. I didn't really know we were going to go this far. I didn't really know what it would look like, but it's just so the best piece of advice is to set the bar high and just know that there's going to be hurdles to get there. I'm sure there is with any business, but it's definitely been a lot harder than what I've expected. In terms of the just a broad statement, in the last 8 years that I've been doing this, the tire market it's completely different. Nobody wanted to get in this business. You would shred tires and you would landfill. The margins were almost nothing. And you have to do an incredible amount of volume to even, validate the equipment and the maintenance on it. Tires just tear stuff up.
Amen to that.
Yeah. In the last 3 years, I've seen an evolution coming, and, there is, some manufacturers around here. I know they have 10 or more Crumb lines on order right now. And that's just one manufacturer that I know of. The market's changing. This green initiative, everybody wants to do something with tires. You've got guys that are trying to make tires back into oil. You have, in regards to the Crumb line, there's you can put it in turf, right? But they want you to test for metal. They want to make sure there's no lead or any, tires that come from China or into these other countries where they don't really have EPA controls on stuff. So, it's our responsibility. You've seen our lab. We have a lab set up.
Yeah.
We test for metals. We test for the moisture, the size of the particles.
Well, that's that next level stuff. You talked about Super Bowl. You don't go to the Super Bowl unless you're ready to put some work in and do some things that you didn't do before.
You're absolutely right. And this, when you talk about, and these are professional athletes are playing on this, so they have to hold the bar high. And ironically, I talk about us being the Super Bowl, and one day our Chrome will be on a Super Bowl field, I'm sure. So,
amen to that.
But
I don't know if you put it on Dallas field, it might. No, I'm not going to go there.
Hey, you have to come back to Texas soon, so be careful. Next year, this year's our year.
Isn't that what everybody says? Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm going to come down. We're going to have to go to a game.
Absolutely. Hopefully it'll be one they win.
There you go.
But so the market's changing. I think you guys are getting in at the perfect time. I think I'm a little bit ahead of the curve on where we're at.
So real quick, I just want to say when he says you guys, so this podcast obviously is always sponsored by Tire Reclaim because I'm the president and the host of this podcast. Craig Hunter. I don't even think I introduced myself, but that's all right. First podcast,
I know who
right?
You are.
But Tire Reclaim, we've been doing it, maybe 14 months now or something like that. So we are still babies. So for the listener, when he's referencing us, that's what he's saying is that we're up and comers. He's been here and established. He's been very helpful for us to get started. And now we're learning about this Crum because our Crum facility comes online, later this year. And we're excited, but we're worried about the pitfalls, which if you helped us in other pitfalls.
They're all there. You can't avoid them. But,
yeah.
but if we can step over a couple of them and I'll help you with what I can. I'm still learning myself. But I think what's going to set you apart and us apart from majority of the people out there, and I feel very comfortable saying this because now that I'm dealing with some of this stuff, one of our customers is an asphalt customer, and we're talking about the moisture that I've kind of explained. It's like when you take your chicken and you drop it in the fryer, and if there's too much water on it, it goes crazy. It boils over, it splashes on you. Well, you talk about putting wet rubber into a reactor, at 600 degrees, and you talk about fluff and sand and contaminants that are now going into a finished product. I mean, we're in a new era.
Right.
When a recycling plant has to have a laboratory to make sure that the quality control is going out the door, I mean, there's untapped stuff out there, and that's what sets us apart. Our customer shut down for 2.5 weeks because they had some contaminated stuff. It's cost them, I don't know the exact number. They threw 200,000 out, and that was for 4 days just on cleaning. I don't know what volume they have. So that being said, I'm excited. I'm excited you guys are coming on board. It's not the same game. You can't just get a shredder and start shredding stuff and taking it to the landfill to be successful. There's lots of avenues, and you gotta run it and know it's not just, we're creating a product. We are setting the standard. So to go from the guy that's running from place to place trying to figure out how much the tire's worth to what we're doing now, I love it, and I'm super excited. And you guys are going to be right there with us. We're going to work together and do some amazing things. The sky's the limit.
So can you talk about each thing that comes off of your line there? I know you mentioned TDF, and you still produce TDF and you along with the Crum, or how does that work?
Absolutely. So to say you're a recycler is in the tire business, it's extremely important to anything that comes in the front door that has value. It's like we're working on a trash line, right? Where you're pulling out aluminum cans, or you put the paper in this pile, and it's the same thing we're doing with tires. So in order to be
sorting,
yeah. So we are very diverse, and we will always stay diverse. It's not necessarily what brings in the most money for us. Crum obviously is the big seller. Obviously, it was during COVID, everybody was doing their yards. It was the rubber mulch, you know. So there's different products out there that come and go or up and down. So in our business, we have, you know, good tires that come in that you want to, you know, turn around. If they're good, you know, let's not let them go to landfill. If they're brand new tires, so there's someone out there that could use those, right? A semi tire, we get casings, we do retreads on those. Why are we going to shred a tire that has 2 years old? We can put a new tread on it, and send it back out, right?
Absolutely.
And so one of the things that we do, we separate the steel and we sell it. And we have another project we're working on. I won't talk about that right now. But and we make TDF. TDF is tire derived fuel, and then now we do the chrome rubber. So and we don't just sell to turf companies. We also do asphalt. So we sell different sizes of that. So it's incredibly important, you know, when you're running this business, that you're very diverse. You know, it's very hard to succeed when you're the guy picking up tires for free because you want to sell the good ones, but you gotta either, you know, pay for disposal. Hopefully they're paying for disposal of the bad ones.
Exactly.
Throwing them on someone's property, but it's important to be diverse. And I'll give you one example. You know, we have a lot of primarily car customers, car tires, but we also have a significant amount of semi tires that come in. During COVID, car dealerships, I mean, everybody's working from home. Nobody's buying cars. So, I mean, we took about a 30% drop. But I will tell you, all through COVID, we had double-digit growth. So, and the reason we were able to do that is because we're diverse. When the car tires dropped, semi tires went through the roof. Medical supplies were out. Trucking companies were just booming, running around delivering stuff.
Yeah, I think there's experts in every field, and you know, you're saying we're testing for moisture. We're doing these different things for, you know, it's quality control, quality assurance for your end user. What are some of the things that you've seen the experts, because we're in an evolving market. You talked about things are changing. You know, did you have people come and tell you, oh, you're going to have to do all of this or all of that? And you're like, well, maybe, but we've got this, you know, your own ideas and your own spin on some of that.
So yes and no. Early on, I did all the heartache. I had an employee and I'm sure we've all had bad employees. I don't want to detract too much or go off topic, but and at the time, he knew a lot more than me, and he was supposed to help me get this piece of equipment and manage this. And I remember going into him one day and I said, look, you're the expert on this. I need you to tell me what I need. I said, because we're so new at this, I don't have the money to go buy a huge crumb line. So you need to figure out how to get it clean and what we need. And when we separated at that time, one of the things I had told them before that was, otherwise I would just take $1 million or 2 million or whatever the number is and go buy me something from a market leading, you know, equipment manufacturer and make the best product, right? But I'm paying you the good money so you can be that expert. But that being said, that's why a little plug for Jomar. I believe they make one of the best pieces of equipment out there. But I mean, these guys got it dialed in. They own a plant as well, and if it goes wrong in their plant, they fix it on the manufacturing side of the equipment. So
you're referencing Middlebury, Indiana's Jomar and Encore, right?
Yeah, Intech.
Or Intech. I'm sorry, Encore. Oh, that's reading ahead because I was going to ask you about that too. But
okay,
yeah, Intech and Levon and those guys up there. And we went and visited that plant with you, as you know. But for the listeners, that was a really impressive visit, man. Those guys
know what they're doing
on top of it. That was really cool. So we are excited to partner with them as well.
100%, and we kind of mimic. Again, I've had the hard knocks, so I'm going to help you avoid some of those. And with them, they are amazing people. So we're definitely going to continue down that road with them, and they'll you know, get you the stuff you need. But back to where the industry is going and stuff, you know, if Brett was in the scrap business And when he sold something or whatever he brought in and he had to make rebar, I mean, that's a whole different, people are counting on this to hold up the concrete. It's the same theory with where the chrome is going. And there's so many applications. There's new ones every day. People are finding new uses for it. So like I said earlier, I mean, this is exciting. There's going to be a lot more stuff coming. There's many ways to make money in this industry. So I think moving forward, if you and I are going to be around down the road, I think there's going to be a lot more people in this.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to be one of those games. What keeps Brett better than everybody else? What are you guys doing better? And I know that you and I both, our companies are gonna find out what we can do better. If it costs more to be better, we're gonna spend the money because we're investing in our employees, in our company, and we want to be around when there's hundreds of people out there and people pick us.
Right.
And that's my job.
Well, and I thought it was important, coming into this podcast, I wanted to mention something that kind of hits home for me, is your recycling, right? And that's a term that gets thrown around a lot, and green initiative and this and that, but you're doing 18,000 tires a day that are coming off of cars, coming, out of people's backyards, things like that would normally be, trash that would be going in landfills, that would be, filling up the landfills, which that's a new thing now. Everybody's like, oh, we can't just throw it to a landfill. Well, nobody ever said that a decade or 2 decades ago, so now here we are on the cutting edge of that, where we are actually profitable at recycling, or try to be, right? But actually profitable at recycling without taking a bunch of subsidy money, without taking a bunch of grants and things like that, like laying down the cash to make this happen and do the right thing. Earlier in the podcast, I heard you say something. Well, we didn't want to just take it to the landfill. And so you upgraded, right? And you improved and you changed systems, and you made basically all American tire recycling a name in the game. So when somebody thinks of it, and that's really a big part of this podcast, and my passion behind this podcast is to get your name out there to help people understand that you built this from the ground up and you are truly recycling products. There's products coming out of the trash that you're picking up, right? So to me, that's full circle. You're doing it right. I think it's fantastic. Did you have anything else you want to add?
No, I mean, I think you kind of summed it up. The only other thing when it comes to recycling, I just want to throw this out there too, in the tire business, it's not like the steel business. And just there's a misconception that, when people bring Brett aluminum cans, he compacts them and he sends aluminum cans out. So people ask me all the time, why don't you pay for tires? Because I don't just take your tire and put it in a baler and send it out. Like, there's time and energy and maintenance and blades and, water. And yes, it's a huge manufacturing process. Mm-hmm. So that's why people pay us to take tires,
Right.
So when you say recycling, there's always something to kind of, and maybe one day when we kind of like what I talked about earlier, how it's getting more sophisticated, maybe there'll be a day where we pay for tires. Then there won't be any abandoned tires at that point,
Right, that'd be great.
But we're not there yet, but we're going in that direction. But
absolutely.
But so people say, why don't you pay me for tires? Well, because it's a little different. But yes, 100% we are recycling.
Yeah, and someone pointed out, actually, I think Nick Schneider mentioned it in a Recycled Idaho podcast that I featured on. And he said, I think people are becoming more comfortable with doing the right thing, like your blue bins, recycling. You pay for that service to be able to separate your cardboards and plastics from the rest of your trash. And that's just part of it, right? If we're going to do the right thing, then we're going to do the right thing. And again, I'm in the same boat with you. Someday maybe we could do that, but for right now we're at where we're at. And that equipment is not cheap.
No, it's not. And I want to say one more thing. I promise it will be done. This is kind of important to me too.
I'm not rushing you. Do you feel rushed?
No. If you're listening to this and you own a company that has tires and someone is coming around and picking them up for free, just know there is a cost associated with that. Whether they're selling the tires, you have to pay to get rid of them. I don't really know of a place right now. Maybe there is one, but I don't know of any that take them for free. And so if you're getting it for free, just know you need to have some type of paper trail. You got to be responsible to make sure those tires are getting thrown away. Because if it's too good to be true, it probably is.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot, I get calls from retired people that own land and they on a fixed income and they're like, hey, someone has thrown 3,000 tires out on my property, right? And this is not a company, this is not someone that, you know, threw their tire that they're tired of having in their garage. This is the 3,000 tires of someone that is actively collecting tires. Correct. So I think it's important that we all do our part, not just me, but people that have the opportunity to, you know, do your research, but pay someone to pick their tires up. You know, make sure that they're a legitimate company and they're not just throwing your problem on someone else. I just want to get that out there. Just people just don't understand.
I experienced it early on when we started this company. There's some big trash tire piles. Even here in Idaho, we don't have near the population you do, but matter of fact, I checked your county has more people than our entire state. But the idea of people picking up tires for free and not being responsible with where they're going is what I think I hear you say, because we actually had people that weren't picking them up for free, but they're picking up really inexpensive, but then just did exactly what you said. It's probably the size of like 4 or 5 2-story houses, this guy's tire pile. And now the county has come in and put a chain link fence around it, put a sign up that says no dumping. You know, that's an issue. And it's an eyesore. It's right off the highway in a beautiful city. I'm like, wow, this is, you know, this community needs us. This state needs us.
And nobody knows until they see the big pile over there, right? And you know, there's a big lawsuit going on down the road where a company in the middle of nowhere, maybe they had a hard time picking up tires. Well, some guy, he's collecting the fees, but he's found a vacant piece of land that a huge company owned, and he was dumping over 8 years. Well, it was car dealerships. It was legit businesses. So they were paying him, but they weren't getting any documentation that he was disposing of them like he should. And they ended up getting sued, and they had to pay 20 times the disposal fees over 8 years, millions of dollars. They're still in litigation. So it's just, you know, whether you're a business owner or just someone trying to get rid of stuff, you know, as businesses, we just got to be responsible and know that there is a cost associated with this and kind of do the right thing. Nobody really thinks about it until they see the pile there. And like, I can't believe someone dumped that. Well, I can't believe you expect someone to pick them up for free.
Right.
You know? So
that's it. Well, there's a video rolling around, and I won't spend too much more time on this, but rolling around about, I think it's in Kuwait or something like that. But you know, those huge graveyards of tires, and you know, we probably have something similar to that across the United States if they were all in one spot like that. But if you're thinking about tires on the ground, we probably have that many sitting out in rural areas all over the United States of America. So I think it's time for us to go out and gather those up one tire at a time and have a big impact on this world. So Tom, I appreciate you, man. I really, really do appreciate more than just this podcast, everything you do for our industry, everything you've been doing for Brett and I to get tire reclaim off the ground. Again, All American Tire Recycling. If you don't know Tom, he's under Thomas Cloud Parker on LinkedIn. I would say go find that gentleman because he's got a lot of cool posts. If you're interested in chrome rubber, TDF, people, you never know who's listening, reach out. We've got questions and answers that might fit right into your business model. So
absolutely. And I'll tell you what, their chrome is in short supply, especially good chrome. At least in our market here in Texas, there's only a couple people that do it. But that being said, some people don't understand kind of how it works, but you know, we have this new machine. All our chrome is not spoken for. It will be soon in the next few months. So, I mean, we're all about building relationships. So, you know, if there's someone out there that does need a chrome supply or something along those lines, and they want to build a partnership with us, you know, we take care of those people first. So, you know, if you hit me up in 6 or 8 months and it's all spoken for. I may have something left over, but I don't know that I'll be able to commit to it. So we're out there looking for those partnerships.
That's a good place to be, my friend. All right. Well, thanks for coming on. We'll talk to you later.
Good. Congratulations on your first podcast.
Thank you.